Hello everyone, welcome to ISIFE EDUBLOG, where we bring you the best in academics. Today on the English language, we shall be looking at the structural classification of sentences. Of course, we have had first set of lessons on the sentence where we looked at the functional sentence types. Now we're looking at the structure. When we say structural classification, we are looking at types of sentences according to length and the number of clauses inherent in one. Now, we'll start with a simple sentence. The simple sentence has, as we have it here, this type of sentence expresses a single thought. It gives just one idea, and to do this you usually need just a verb, or perhaps a verb and its auxiliary, but it is usually a verb of the same sequence, not verbs saying different things. Now, here is our example. Come here. Of course, when I taught the functional sentence types, I made mention of the fact that even a single word in action could be a sentence. For instance, come. Come is a sentence. Go is a sentence. It is when you want to specify that you can add an adverb to make either come or go longer. Come here, that is specifications now, stating where exactly the person is to come. Go away, But naturally, when you say come, you are understood. When you say go, you are understood. So here, come here is a simple sentence. Come is a verb, and here is an adverb which we call an adjunct in sentences. Alright? Now, this sentence is an imperative sentence, and as I had said earlier, imperative sentences may not have a visible subject because the subject is implied. We do not have to say you come here, since the you is actually listening to us. So come here can do. Now, the second example here is the dog died. This is a declarative sentence. A declarative sentence. So the dog is the subject, died is the verb. You can see how simple the simple sentence actually is. It could just be a combination of two words. In this case, the subject and the verb. In the first case, the verb and the adjunct. Alright? Then the third sentence has, who is that? That's an interrogative sentence. The interrogative sentence has who as the subject, is as the verb, and that as the complement of the subject, who, in that interrogative manner. What a save! That's the last sentence here. What a save! Now, in watching football, you hear commentators, when a goalkeeper does a brilliant job stopping a shot, the commentator might be forced to exclaim, what a save! That is an exclamatory sentence, and you have just the subject and, well, more or less, a verbless, if you like, sentence, because you have just the subject, two subjects in the sense of it. A typical example of what we might call a verbless sentence, or a verbless clause, if you like. So that's the simple sentence here. Then we have features of the simple sentence. Features of the simple sentence. Okay. the simple sentence is broadly divided into two. So what and what? The subject and the predicate. The subject and the predicate. Now, the subject is the noun phrase at the beginning of the sentence. Now take note of this. I didn't say the subject is the performer of the action. I didn't say so. I said it is the noun phrase at the beginning of the sentence. This is important because sometimes the subject performs the action of the sentence, sometimes it doesn't. Alright? And in fact, there might be more times when the subject does not perform an action than when it does. So, I don't define my subject saying it is the performer of the action. So, here we are. We left the house immediately. Alright? We left the class, the house immediately. So, we is the subject of the sentence. Right? The old man charges less. The old man. Remember I said the noun phrase at the beginning of the sentence. We is a noun phrase, mind you. Of course, watch my work on phrases and you will learn so much about how a single word in action could just be a phrase. Okay, the old man charges high. The old man in this sentence is the subject. And then the girl in front of the class. The girl in front of the class. The subject is long because it has a prepositional phrase that is from here to here. A prepositional phrase qualifying the girl, stating exactly where to find the girl or how to differentiate the girl from other people around. Now, in front of the class, joined with the girl, gives us a noun phrase. This noun phrase is the subject of the verb reads. But let me give you an example that will show that the subject must not always perform an action. For instance, we say, she is awake. She's awake. She didn't do anything, but she's not sleeping. That's what this means. She's awake. So this describes her state of being. She is a subject. We say, the girls are good dancers. The girls are good dancers. Now, the girls is our subject. And the girls did not perform any action. We describe what they do. They are not dancing right now. They are not actually dancing right now, but we say they are dancers. So, there are so many other instances. And in the passive voice, this is the issue. In fact, in the passive voice, the subject may even be the recipient of the action. Alright? So let's look at the predicate. The predicate, we said, is the part of the sentence beginning with the verb. So if you divide the simple sentence, if you divide the simple sentence into two, you have the first section would be the subject, the second would be the predicate. Now, this is what we mean. We know him. We is subject. Know him is predicate. So, there are some examples here on the board. He bought us beans. He bought us beans. He is the subject of the sentence. Bought us beans is the predicate. Alright? Our cars are faster than theirs. Our cars are faster than theirs. Our cars, subject, are faster than theirs, predicate. So when you divide a simple sentence into two, you get the subject and the predicate. We know him. Know him is predicate. He bought us beans. Bought us beans is predicate. Our cars are faster than theirs. Are faster than theirs is predicate. Let's look at the parts of the predicate. Of course, the predicate could have different parts. And so let's look at those different parts that make up the predicate. One is the verb. This is a word that states the action or state of being of the subject. So, kick the ball. In kick the ball, we have kick. We have kick as our verb, stating the action that should be performed. Does she live here? Now, here is a case. She is the subject of the sentence. It is in the middle of the auxiliary verb does and the main verb live. So the verb of this sentence is does assisting live, the main verb. Alright? Does she live here? We have stopped work. Have stopped is the verb. So, we may call the verb the predicator. As we stated earlier, the predicate begins with the verb. Object. The object is the noun phrase that receives the action of the verb. Alright, this is a regular definition here. There's no need changing anything because it is correct. This object of the verb receives the action of the verb. So, drop the bag. The bag is the object of the verb drop. She likes me. Me is the object of the verb likes. We finished everything. Everything is the object of the verb finish. So, that's the second part of the predicate, which is the object. We'll now take the third one, which is the complement. So we continue with work on parts of the complement. Sorry, parts of the predicate. Now, the complement is the next one. The complement is the noun phrase at the predicate position that means the same thing as either the subject or the object. Now, let's put it in a simple manner. Looking at the example on the board, Sam is the subject. From what you've heard, Sam is the subject for being the noun phrase at the beginning of this sentence. Now, is not an action word. It is a linking verb, giving you the state or the condition of somebody or something. Now, Sam is a teacher. A teacher linked with is here is the same person as Sam. That is what we mean by complement. Sam and teacher are one and the same. They are Wilfred's children. They are Wilfred's children. Now, they is a subject. Are is another form of the verb is. Remember that these belong to the verb be or to be. Alright? So they don't state actions when used as main verbs. Okay. They are Wilfred's children. So who are Wilfred's children? They. Wilfred's children and they refer to the same persons. Now, we said the complement could be subject complement or object complement. The two examples we have exemplify subject complement. Let's look at this. Okay, so if we appointed him prefect. Prefect is the same person as him, and him is the object of the verb appointed. Therefore, prefect is object complement. Let's take it one at a time. We is the subject of this sentence, right? Appointed is the verb, right? The object of the verb appointed is him. So, subject, verb, object. But the sentence didn't end here. We have prefect. And who is the prefect? Him. Therefore, prefect is object complement because him is the object of the verb appointed. Alright? The next one is adjunct. Adjunct is a term used to describe adverbs in action. Alright? There are disjuncts, there are conjuncts. So, adverbs in action could be called adjunct, disjunct, or conjunct. Okay. So, now, this is an adverb and it tells us when, how, where, etc. an action occurred. The driver parked the bus behind the house. Behind the house tells us where the bus was parked. Therefore, this is an adjunct. You may call it adverbial phrase of place. Alright? Adverbial phrase of place. She laughed loud. She laughed loud. Loud tells us the manner in which she laughed. Adverbial phrase of manner is an adjunct. Alright? Now, let us look at sentences that will bring everything we've done with the simple sentences together. Let's see. Here we have, first we divide it into two, right? And we have subject and predicate. That's the most prominent feature, or those are the most prominent features of the simple sentence, the subject and the predicate. Okay? Now that we've got our subject as she, remember again, I always said that a phrase does not necessarily need to be more than one word. I've called this adverbial phrase of manner. This is a noun phrase. This is a noun phrase. She is a noun phrase. Okay, she was appointed. Now we are looking at the predicate now. The whole of this is a predicate. So let's now look at parts of the predicate. Remember, parts of the predicate. So here we have the verb. All of this is the predicate. Here we have the verb. Then, this is the object. So you see, we already have subject, we have verb, we have object. And here is our what? Adjunct. So this sentence has subject and predicate, that's number one. Then the predicate has, how many parts of the predicate did we give? About 4, right? Yes, verb, object, complement, adjunct, 4. Now you have 3 of them right here on the board for the first sentence. So verb, object, and adjunct was appointed registrar. Now you see, who was appointed registrar? look at her here. The subject did not perform the action. The subject actually received the action. In fact, those who performed the action were not even mentioned in the sentence. She was appointed registrar yesterday. By whom? We do not even know. Alright? So the subject might just be the receiver of the action as we have it here. Okay. We made him president last year. We made him president last year. So first, we have subject, and second, we have predicate. Now, looking at the subject and the predicate, let us divide the predicate into separate parts. So what do you think? What do you think? Okay, and you do your thinking. Here is the first, and this first is the verb. Made is the verb. Him is the, let's tag this the predicate, that's what it is. Now, him is the object of the verb made. Alright? President means the same person as him, not we. We made him president. So we are not the president, we made him president. President means the same person as him. Therefore, president is object complement. Remember that here we had seen subject complement when the subject means the same person as the complement. The complement and the subject are the same. But in this case, the object and the complement are the same. That's why we call president object complement. Then, last here is last year. Last year is an adjunct. Yes. So in this sentence, we have all the features of a simple sentence. All of them in one. The subject, the verb, the object, the complement, and the adjunct. All of them in this one sentence. So you can use it as your experimental sentence. You know, always. It derives joy in listening to music. It derives joy in listening to music. So he, subject, derives, of course from this point you have the predicate as usual. Derives is verb. Joy is what? Object. Yes. In listening to music is adjunct. Alright? In listening to music tells us source. How he derives this joy. Now, look at this and analyze, do your own analysis of the simple sentence. The bag contains oranges and mangoes. Okay, I believe you now have in mind what we are talking about. The bag, subject, contains, verb, oranges and mangoes, object. Yes, don't be confused with the fact that oranges and mangoes are used here. Of course, the two of them are contained in the same bag. The same, one thing is said, but the noun has two, that is a compound object. So, it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't mean that the sentence is stating two things. No. So, the bag contains oranges and mangoes. Subject, verb, object. Stop talking in my class. There is no subject here. So we have verb, we have object, we have adjunct. Let's just make it an A. Have you ever seen my brother David? Have you ever seen my brother David? Now, you is the subject. Have and seen are verb. Ever, adjunct. You see how complicated this one is? Ever is an adjunct. My brother is the object. And David is object complement. You may call it noun phrase in apposition, no problem. It's object complement. Alright? So, again, we have a sentence that contains all the parts of the simple sentence in one. Have you ever seen my brother David? Now, that's the much we can take from the simple sentence structure. We'll combine the compound and the the complex sentence together. Thank you so much for listening, and always remember to follow, share, like our videos. We'll always be here for you.